Welcome to another episode of the Process and Automation Podcast with the Automation Guys. So as always, I'm here with Arno. Hello, Arno.
Hey, Sasha.
So, another week, another episode, and it's crazy. It's already end of October nearly. So going really, really fast towards the end of the year, and it would be really cool to have a chat about what's coming up in 2024. So, today we will discuss a few potential trends we see for 2024 when it comes to process and automation. So, Arno, are you up for it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's some top topics, high-level topics we can touch on, and some sort of, I guess, 5 trends that we want to just highlight as the top ones that we feel is going to be prominent next year. Some of this is really a continuation on, the momentum we've seen in 2023 anyway. And I guess it's kind of going back since the sort of start of the pandemic. I think the areas within inside process automation in general has evolved a lot. I think there's been quite a big drive for organizations to adopt technology, especially automation technology. We talk about various of those on these podcasts. Obviously the topical one of the night is undoubtedly AI, machine learning, large language models, the explosion within inside GPT. So I think that's quite a kind of topical sort of area of automation that we've seen almost exploding in 2023. I think it's fair to say that it is that there's a degree of sort of hype that's dying down slightly as people try to understand what the use cases are for.
Absolutely.
Impressive technologies. But I would say that the key point still is, if kind of looking at the analyst reports, is still hyper automation. That's just a sort of a culmination of multiple of these automation technologies that obviously aim to push, the limits of what we can do with automation, and that's taking things like AI that I've just mentioned, integrating that with RPA, which is robotic process automation. If you haven't heard that term before, RPA is essentially software bots, and software bots can be trained to mimic human actions, human behaviors, to complete some tasks on behalf of humans, very fast, very accurate. So RPA is obviously quite a well embedded technology now with inside I would say the hyper automation space. Intelligent document processing, organizations generate a lot of documents, and within finance, for example, even with inside departments, HR departments. So I think that's still quite a big topic. There's a lot of vendors out there that actually commoditizes IDP a lot, where they provide you with some intelligent document processing capabilities. And I think what this is trying to do is really trying to kind of create an umbrella where businesses can automate as many business processes as possible, and to also make businesses efficient and adaptive and more profitable, and and more desirable for their customers. And of course, underneath all of the hyper automation, if we sort of open that up and we sort of look at the fundamentals and I guess some of the foundations, business process management is still in there. Let's not write off the fact that workflow automation, case management, these tools that allows you to model and optimize and monitor business processes, they still in there, and I guess, with inside hyper automation, if you want to get going and you don't want to sort of throw yourself with inside the AI space, because you're still using Excel spreadsheets, then BPM is still a sort of go-to for those kind of processes that you want to automate, you want to orchestrate, you want to get rid of Excel being sent across your business, you want to use digital forms, you want to be able to measure process performance. So let's not forget BPM is still part of that mix. And of course, hand in hand with that, which is more sort of, I guess, a bit more closer to the implementation of these things, is the concept of low and no code. We live in a world where we always hear people say, well, we want to do more with less. Well, this is the enabler for that. Gone are the days where somebody gives you a requirement and you have to go and ask a professional developer to write some code for you to actually bring that to life. These low and no code development platforms, which people are becoming really accustomed to and so used to, it's almost sort of blurred the lines now of, we want the requirement implemented. We want to have that, a hyper agile sort of fashion. And the expectation is there that that's quick, right?
Absolutely.
So again, that's sort of a fundamental, and then of course that the other bits that and again, this is foundational, but it underpins connectivity between the various systems. APIs. We talk about those things. They still get in the picture.
Absolutely.
So it's all layering, and of course analytics monitoring.
Yeah, it's all in there. Yeah.
Yeah,
There's a lot in there. Definitely.
So I think interrupting that sort of hyper automation topic, for me, that's sort of the number one trend, and move forward into 2024, possibly beyond that as well.
Absolutely beyond that. Yeah.
Exactly. As some of the newer technology, sort of additions to that becomes a bit more mainstream.
Yeah, exactly. So it becomes mainstream, and then when you look back, this term is already, I think, nearly like 3-4 years old when it came out first time. But when it comes to the adoption, sure, every company, every big enterprise or larger company has already tried out different things when it comes to hyper automation, a bit of AI, a bit of RPA, maybe a bit of IDP, that kind of stuff. But it is a trend going forward because the adoption, when you look across everything, is still really, really small. So obviously everyone tried it, but not really used it excessively across the businesses and in all departments. So this is why it's still a trend topic, and as you mentioned, probably for the next years to come, because now people can use it more, so it has developed better, and then obviously the AI components around it, the technologies as part of hyper automation, they have evolved, and it makes it much easier. And that brings me as well to the second sort of hype topic for next year. You touched on that lightly. Is the low code and no code thing, platforms out there. They have evolved as well. So this is why you mentioned that earlier, was the hyper automation as a foundation. These platforms are incredible, and they have developed immensely over the last couple of years. So using AI 2 years ago, yeah, you could do some stuff with it fairly easily in some use cases. But now what you can get out of AI machine learning on a click of a button is just ridiculous. And so now with thousands of documents can be processed so much faster with the power of AI. 2 years, 3 years ago, you had maybe an accuracy of 80%, maybe 90%. Now accuracy and detection of content and things when it comes to IDP, for example, is so quick, and you don't have to be a machine learning engineer, data engineer to do that kind of stuff. So yeah, low code, no code platforms are absolutely a hype next year still.
Yeah.
Because yeah, so everyone is just starting about it, and I think generally enterprises may be starting with these new technologies first, then smaller companies using it. So it's all based on budget and money available, I guess, in these organizations. But nowadays, these technologies can be picked up by any size of business, really. The small business in East London can just pick it up and build applications with low code and no code, put some AI in it, do a bit of document processing. So this is really something which increasingly gets accessible for everyone, and this is sort of the democratization of automation, really, which we see more and more of in 2024. And it is really just the beginning, which is exciting. Yeah, so basically you can get going without being a high code developer. So lots of different personnel can really design and implement automation solutions, and this is incredible. Yeah, so that's definitely what is coming up. So yeah, we would talk about low code and no code a lot here because it's a really great topic. Yeah, we see pretty much all the big vendors out there. A couple of years ago, they were concentrating more on case management, business process management. They put all the securities in these platforms. They already made it very easy to develop really powerful enterprise solutions. But exactly that now gets easier and easier within these platforms. These platforms get cheaper and cheaper. So yeah, it's a good time to jump on it and try it out. And I think there is a platform for any kind of budget available.
Absolutely.
All right, yeah. So that brings us also to the next topic, AI-driven document processing. Do you want to jump a bit more in depth in it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I touched a bit on it earlier, but obviously AI is becoming a bit more sort of mainstream now, a bit more prominent. We are seeing even in some of the conversations we're having, if they are seemingly impossible, activities or tasks or solutions that to problems. People say, well, can't we do that with AI? So that was sort of inconceivable a couple of years ago. So it's even with some of the people that we talk to, they know that those solutions are out there, and of course, AI is very useful to analyze existing data sets and looking at historic data, because of course there's going to be vast amounts of data that some organizations have got, potentially allowing you to exploit very or extract rather really beneficial elements out of that, where you can create automations, but based on your actual data sets itself. And again, that's just by kind of analyzing what you've done in the past to predict, certain things that is repetitive. For example, if you have, for instance, contracts that we use, and you need to, do assessments on these contracts. First assessments, you need to review them. You can look back at ones that are good contracts and highlight ones that are bad contracts. So that's a perfect use case for AI, by looking at your data, by actually looking at those historic documents, and that in turn sort of increases efficiency within inside your business, and accuracy as well, because the AI would spot things that potentially humans can't spot. And of course it could, in context of intelligent document processing, it can actually, look at vast amounts of documents and vast amounts and provide you vast amounts of sort of almost like bandwidth to be able to do these things, and that in turn, results in cost savings within inside your business, and you could free up resources, that are potentially quite expensive to do these repetitive tasks. So again, it is sort of just bringing automation, sensible automation into your business where you rely on previous ways and previous sort of data sets that's there that you've done work already, and you could use that into your advantage to actually create models, AI models, to actually save you costs, to help you to make better decisions, help you to improve compliance, help you to improve customer experience, give you better data insights. What is my data telling me? Reducing the need for sort of manual work. So this list is seemingly endless, but it's just all of these benefits that fall out of the adoption. And I think in 2024 that this is still going to grow. Not just AI in context of intelligent document processing, but also what is known as intelligent business operations. By looking at the past. Let's use that as a baseline for making some predictions, to extract some elements of operations that we could potentially replicate them inside our AI model, and the balance, focus on the balance of that, so then deploy our resources to really go to work on the what's left, and then that would kind of, if you go to work on that, that will give you that sort of competitive edge. So I think very, very exciting one. This one, people talk about data-driven decisions, data-driven outcomes, and I think this is still, again, within inside the context of hyper-automation. This is still going to be very prominent, probably. Beyond
100%, yeah.
26, as AI becomes more accessible, to
very cool. So yeah, over the last couple of years, especially post-pandemic, we have noticed a big change, how we work. Lots of hybrid and remote working setups are now sort of the standard. But that brings us to another challenge we probably have to focus on more and more in the coming years. So how do we really make sure remote workers, hybrid workers, office workers work in the best possible with the best possible outcome, right? So nowadays, of course, especially for your larger organization, you don't necessarily know if your workforce is the most productive, really. Sure, there are situations, there's nothing what you can do about remote work, but is it really productive? It's not. Is it contributing to the company goals? How can we manage our offices in the best way? How can we spread work if people are not sitting together all the time? And we learned a lot from that during the pandemic. Suddenly, business process management, workflow, task management, case management solutions, or business who had these solutions in place already, they cope much better with the situation, because it doesn't really matter if people are sitting at home or in the office. They have access to the information, they can process the documents, they can share the tasks, etc., etc. So yeah, this will increasingly be more important to manage that as effectively as possible. So therefore, we will see more tools, more definitely more technology out there to efficiently do the collaboration across the workforce, task management, and of course the monitoring of it all. So if everyone is working away, wherever, what is everyone doing during the day? How can we monitor, and how can we maybe make sure the work is done in the right volume, depending on what kind of projects we have and commitments we made to others. Yeah, so that's a huge thing. So it's not necessarily about monitoring, so more like the Big Brother kind of thing, but it's really about seeing if remote workers and hybrid workers, colleagues, are just getting to the right outcome the company needs. We all need. So yeah, that will be a big thing coming up. So we all realize it's not going back to normal. It's not like we sit in the office all going forward. Lots of companies like that, but the truth is it is changing, and so we need more and more good answers to that.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that is a big focus, and it sort of nicely brings me to one of the next trends that we believe will see sort of grow in 2024, and that's sustainable and what's called ethical automation. So obviously, with all the noise about AI, and you talk about home working, impacts on the environment. So there is a consciousness that we have to shift more and more towards sustainability, and there's a lot more ethical considerations to look at, as businesses adopt and embrace automation solutions within inside their operations. That's environmentally friendly. That's very transparent, for example, and also consider job roles and any displacements that automation.
Yeah, huge. That's huge.
Provide. Yeah, and and again, it's not only about energy efficiency, but like I mentioned earlier, it's also the implications of AI and the sort of broader social impacts that will bring to the workplace or to people, and I think the environmental impact, like I said, sustainability. Obviously, people are moving to the cloud. So the cloud, a lot of the data centers, AWS, Microsoft, so it's got zero carbon. So obviously they offset a lot of their carbon. So again, that is still a talking point. Especially when you look at cloud services. That it provides the infrastructure for a lot of vendors, for a lot of automation solution providers, sustainability and sort of kind of just looking at if you look at reduced traveling and commuting. You touched on remote working, Sasha. I don't see things like virtual meetings disappear. I think hybrid working is here to stay, when people will go into the office or not. That brings a big that's a big impact in terms of carbon emissions, etc. People not going into offices and driving there, or so again, I think it is here to stay from that perspective. If we look at, again, if I touch on sort of ethical AI and decision making, and again, this is all about addressing the importance of building ethics into AI algorithms and decision making processes, trying to remove biases, discrimination, for example. Again, from a sort of a ethics perspective. If you look at sort of compliance and regulations, again, when it's automations that we're bringing to the market, that does this sort of adhere to some of the regulatory requirements, from an ethical perspective as well. I know there's various sort of industries and various standards, but again, that will be a talking point somewhere. When you look at automation, just to make sure that whatever you do is within acceptable ethical standards.
Absolutely, yeah. It will be big. Lots of people are concerned, isn't it? Yeah.
The right governance is in place, for example. I think incorporating sustainability and obviously ethics into business process automation is it's not only responsible, but it also provides kind of positive long-term impact on the organization's reputation, for example, competitiveness, staff retention, things like that. So, so I think it is essential that this one stays on the list as well. So we can actually look at the impacts of what automation brings, to society as a whole.
Yeah, very important. Yeah, so that's what we think is on the trends list for 2024. There are obviously lots of other topics which are important, but we think this is the top 5. It obviously covers a lot. So there's, as you mentioned that earlier on, some of those are like big umbrella kind of topics, and lots of subtopics on those. Yeah, so let us know what you think about our top 5 trends in the feedback section, or reach out to us on social. We'll be really interested to hear your thoughts on those. And we will cover plenty of episodes around these top trends as well then in 2024, to dive a bit deeper into those areas. And then these specific areas you can also look at more hands-on in our the Automation Guys community. Go to theautomationguys.net and sign up to the community, and you can get more and more infos on those topics, and you can collaborate and exchange ideas with like-minded professionals. So check that out, theautomationguys.net, and we will be back next week again, so as usual. And then we will talk more about process and automation, and until then, let's automate it.